I had my physical with Cheryl Olson, and, she found a lump in the left breast, and, she wanted to do a mammogram and an ultrasound, and I had that done like within the next day or two. And after, I had that done, then she called me and just said, oh, it looks a little suspicious. They want to do a biopsy. So, and I think it was only a couple days after that that I went in and had the biopsy done. The next day, right away, my surgeon, Dr. Gutzmer, had called and said that the pathologist, Dr. Smith, picked up right away that he was thinking it was this rare secretory carcinoma, but because it was so rare, he wanted to send it down to the Mayo Clinic. So, by the time I had the biopsy, and by the time I found out the results, it was probably about a week and a half, because it got sent to Mayo, and then it got sent around, within Mayo, and then they ended up sending it to the University of Minnesota. But during that week and a half, it was, it was a very emotional time. We were, I was sad and I was angry, and I was full of questions and scared, and I have two young daughters that are 8 and 5, and I know that the doctor thought that it was cancerous, but until I actually found out for sure that it was, I wasn't going to tell. I didn't want to tell our daughters about it. So during that week and a half, it was just a very scary time for us. And during the day, you go through your normal. During the day, you just kind of go through your normal routine, going to work and taking the kids to school and doing what you need to do, and tucking them into bed at night, reading them stories, all of that, and until I found out that I for sure had cancer. Like I said, we didn't tell them anything, and it was the hardest thing, because when I would go and tuck them into bed at night, or read them stories, or check on them before I went to bed, I was always thinking to myself, how many more times do I get to do this with my girls? And I would, after that, I would go, back to our bedroom and just cry, because it was very fearful. It was a very fearful time, thinking that my life could be over. I was dealing with something that could potentially take my life, and it was the scariest thing that we've ever been through. And that week and a half, it felt like a very, very long time. And it was just, like I said, we were just very scared and fearful, mad. We dealt with a lot of different emotions, and so that Friday, actually it was a week and a half after I had the biopsy, Dr. Gutzmer called me and told me that, it for sure was the secretory carcinoma, and it was less than 0.1% of all breast cancers. So we're dealing with a very rare cancer, which is very scary just by itself, because there isn't any supporting data to say how to treat it and what the prognosis is, and the mortality rate and all of that. So, but I found out for sure on that Friday, and the next Monday I was in Dr. Gutzmer's office, and we were scheduling surgery, and I decided to do bilateral mastectomies.
Our experience with Lake Region Healthcare was top notch. They have every service that we required. The people there would talk to you, answer any questions that you had, no matter how minute they were. Dr. Tate, Susan's oncologist, actually gave me his business card with his personal cell phone number, and I've never had a doctor do that to me before. Having your whole life change in a moment is an experience that you really can't put into words. There's so many feelings and things that go along with it. And we're from a very modest, hard-working family. And to have the cancer center so close to us, and the things that they did is they gave us direction. They gave us everything that we needed to basically put our sights at where we're at today, with our future now looking a lot brighter than it did a year ago. One thing that I very much appreciated from working with the doctors at the cancer center was they had a plan for Susan's care all written out, and it was basically put your head down, get to work, and it was step by step, and there was no deviation from their plan, and that was kind of comforting, knowing with so many unknowns of what's going on, having something as simple as a plan written out was very comforting to me. We put 100% of trust into the doctors there. We felt they were very qualified. We agreed with their plan, and obviously the results worked out well for us. Our future, looks very bright. We've been through a lot in the last 2 years, and our future hopefully brings us some relaxation time, and I think it's well deserved. It's nice to be able to come home and know that Susan's back to as normal as she can be. And it's nice to come home and know that she's not sick laying in bed, that we're both able to spend time with our family, our children, and get back to doing some things that we like to do, possibly some travel or just spending time playing with the kids or whatever we need to do on a day-to-day basis.